Ngeba Sojola here. In this video, I want to particularly address how specifically townships or specifically black areas in South Africa can be part of the great transition, the great energy transition, but more so be part of the new hydrogen economy that will be developed in South Africa and globally. Now, the one way I can think of, right, for South Africans, specifically black who live in townships, right, where there is high poverty levels, high inequality, right, and very high and uncontrollable unemployment rate, right? For the one method that I can think of, right, that can be produced under the company Hydrogen Qanyeba, right, is basically known as Project SolarFlare. Project SolarFlare fundamentally wants to turn townships and rural villages, right, into one big solar power plant, right, in order for them to be able to use this renewable energy, right, to fundamentally supply their own needs in the residents, right, supply the energy needs of local businesses in the township, right, and also be part be able to be part of the carbon credit system that is coming to as part of the great energy transition. Now, this project will fundamentally basically use a number of tools and means to help communities and townships specifically. I'm speaking about Soweto here, right? A very famous township. It's quite huge, right? Now, there are various ways that we can do this. Number one, we can deploy a rooftop strategy, right? Now, when I speak of a rooftop strategy, I'm speaking of basically deploying solar panels, right, in various rooftops that are found in Soweto or the township, right? Number one, the rooftops of their residential areas, right, where they actually live, right? So in Soweto, you'd find a lot of four-room houses, right, with a sizable roof, right, which you can actually place solar panels on it, right? So it's not only residential areas that we are looking at. We are also looking at placing rooftop panels, solar panels on commercial buildings, right, and industrial sites, right? So this is specific. We're also looking at placing these solar panels on top of hospitals, schools, and churches, right? So this is one stretch. Another one is to deploy what's known as solar panels that can be deployed on the ground, right? We'll be looking for areas which are specifically dolomite prone, right? Because with dolomite, you can't necessarily plant, conduct agricultural things there, or or residential things. So you can't build houses for people to live there, right? So areas like this, which are basically surrounded in townships, which are specifically around mines, have a lot of these dolomite areas. These areas can be zoned out as solar panel areas or solar power plants areas, and solar panels can be deployed in these areas, right? Another place where we can put solar panels is hills, small hills or mountains or yes, hills and mountains, right? Small hills and mountains that are found within the township, specifically those which are east, north, and west, north facing, right? Specifically for us to be able to harness the vast resources of the sun that South Africa has available, right? Now, this these are the three places where the solar panels can be placed, right? Rooftops, right? Ground deployed panels, right? And mountain deployed panels, right? And then we can and then we can find places where we can place other components that basically make up the solar power plant. Other components which are important are basically inverters and batteries, right? So we can basically deploy or put batteries in areas that we have designated as battery areas. For example, we can place the various batteries right all over the townships, let's say in churches and hospitals, right? That let's say we're placing it in hospitals to know that whenever there is a power shortage or when we can deploy that energy that is in the batteries, right? Inverters are also important, an important component in the building up of this solar power plant, right? Because they fundamentally convert the DC energy, right? That is basically received from the solar panels. Now, the solar panels take solar energy and basically convert it into DC energy or direct current. This direct current is the type of current that can be stored in batteries, right? Now, you also need something called an inverter to convert the DC current, right, the direct current into alternating current, right? Now, once you have this alternating current, it can be a three-phase current or a single-phase current. Single phase is deployed into normal households, right? And then three-phase is the type of electricity which is deployed into commercial and industrial establishments, right? So we can create inverter energy zones where we place inverters. It can be in residential houses. The inverters can be in various sizes available for residential people, commercial people, and industrial people, right? And we can do the same with basically batteries, have different size batteries. We can have a battery size, the size of a normal container, right? Where we actually put batteries inside that container and we place it next to a school that might need deploying energy or a clinic, right? So basically, the way this system will come together in a decentralized way is basically using a cryptocurrency known as the energy web token. Now, what you can do with this cryptocurrency, right? It is fundamentally an internet for the energy systems or the electricity systems, right? So you can have solar panels, right, deployed in various parts of the township. You can have batteries deployed in various parts of the township, and then have inverters deployed in the various parts of the township, right? And then you connect them not using cables in the actual infrastructure, but using the internet, right? Of basically via connecting all the components which are needed to create this power station, right, via the internet. The one thing that the energy web token coin does is it is an internet of the energy infrastructure. So you can connect this thing virtually, right? So you can have a running plant that is not necessarily connected physically, but can be connected via the internet through this cryptocurrency. We can also be able to give people incentives here in the form of carbon credits, right? And if there's any excess energy, right, within the system, it can be converted into cryptocurrencies, whichever one you want: Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP. right? So we can also create digital identities within the system and also create various other softwares and programs to make this decentralized power station, right, basically work, right? So it's possible to actually turn the township into a power station, and we can use the current economy, technology in the form of energy web token, right? And then deploy the various components which are needed in the creation of a solar power plant, right? This would help the township people, black people, youth that is not employed, single mothers, all these problems that we face in the township. We can help solve them by springboarding off this idea of turning the township into a power station, right? So now, once you have the power station, right, you can deploy anything in it, right? Number one, we can deploy electrolyzers, right, to create hydrogen, right? Or we can supply people with electrolyzers to basically create green hydrogen, right? So, yeah, this is basically the idea that I have in mind, basically read by Hydrogen Qengeba, right? And it is a project known as Project SolarFlare to fundamentally recreate townships as solar power plants. Thank you for this opportunity. I'll see you in the next video.